Hello and welcome to Oracle Cloud Advanced Tax Implementation. In this task we're going to look at navigating through the UI, a brief overview of security and having a look at Functional Setup Manager. So in terms of our challenges, we're going to look at how to navigate the cloud, either using in terms of relatively new newsfeed or looking at the older simplified in terms of UI. We're going to look at the options to add your own user personalization. We're then going to give you an overview of security and finish off with the way, particularly in the tax configuration, where you'll spend most of the time in the Functional Setup Manager pages. So in terms of to move efficiently and effective around the system, obviously you have to get familiar with the UI. So if you've not used a cloud environment before, then this is, or a screenshot here, will show you the new newsfeed default. And you'll see that down the bottom, it says newsfeed. So your system administrator will decide whether this is going to be your default or whether you're going to use the simplified UI that was given, if you like, by previous releases. If I'm looking at the simplified UI, then where I show the social networking, either as a panel or a banner, again, that's what your system administrator will configure for you. In terms of within this newsfeed page, so it's very much all of these themes really have the process of what do you need to know and what do you need to do. So we've got the intelligent use of business intelligence, either transaction business intelligence or business intelligence from the OBAE, populating various aspects. So here we've got a things to do list that shows you perhaps the social networking and alerts feeding in to this home page. So what do I need to know? So before I get into all the nitty gritty, the system's telling me on this newsfeed homepage, these are the tasks I need to complete today before I go to new tasks. Also down the bottom, here we've got the extensive use of Oracle Transaction Business Intelligence. These KPIs, snippet of information giving you the big picture. So again, if I want to know, in this case, the status of my cash module, what's my current cash balance? Do I have any statements that haven't been reconciled? What's my cash position for the next 5 days? These snippets of information are displayed as infolets. So on the newsfeed, you'll find these at the bottom of the newsfeed. If you're looking at the simplified UI, then you'll find they're shown as the various springboard dots at the top of the screen. So continuing with the newsfeed, if you're not using the applications and the tab panel in the applications, there's Navigator. And the Navigator really is, although it's this different look and feel, is what you'll find in the global area at the top. The 3 lines on the left-hand side will always give you the Navigator. So this is a go-to. If you get completely lost, go to the Navigator and that will show you the tools. So this just expands the tools area and you'll see typical things here as running scheduled processes, go into the BI reports and analytics where you'll find all the BI catalog, a security console, one-stop shop to go and configure all of your security needs. As you can see, 14 predefined themes. So if your system administrator is set up with the Acromean as the default, then you'll get the newsfeed. If you don't have the perhaps Acromean and any of the other, you'll go back to the old simplified UI. Both of them are optimized really to use the mobile phones, tablets, thousands of hours in terms of for the implementation developers plus consultants and partners and customers. They've all come into our usability lab and continually refining these UIs. So again, you've got complete choice, whether you prefer the newsfeed, which very much snippet information, whether you prefer the simplified UI, it's a personal choice. And it might be that your system administrator or your company make a decision and the newsfeed or the simplified UI is your choice. So this is the simplified UI. And again, this is my personal preference, but in terms of I can work with both. In terms of here, we've got the portrait of the social networking, things to do with a picture here of Casey Brown. And all the apps are shown as our familiar icons. And in this case, the infolets or access to these snippets, KPIs of Oracle Transaction Business Intelligence are at the top with the various dots. And you could apply this to the newsfeed as well as this simplified UI. You've got the home page. From there, infolets, these KPIs, snippets of information. You drill down to a work area or detail page, and that's where you'll find the infotiles. Infotiles are business intelligence information specific to a business process, such as entering journals, entering invoices, entering AR invoices. Panels on the right-hand side consist of a task, a query, and in some cases reports. So this just shows you the alternative. If you're not using the newsfeed, then you can use this simplified UI. The springboard dots give you access to the various infolets. You don't see this on the newsfeed, so your favorites and recent items is only showed on the simplified UI. So again, if your personal choice is to use in terms of alerts and recent items, then that pushes you perhaps to use the simplified UI rather than the newsfeed. Once we get either to a work area or a detail page, you'll find the overall points. You've got the global area, task panel showing here on the right hand side. There isn't a search or reports, it's just one single panel here. The data will pull back in the section in the main block of the window. Page layouts, they've, if you like, customer feedback again. They've been modified so you get the same look and feel, whether you're entering, deleting, modify records. The icons, dark grey means enabled, light grey is disabled, it's a sort of view only. And in the practice, we're going to get you to have a look at the UI. First of all, you're going to run some warm-up scripts, have a look at the newsfeed UI that we've got set up. Our default in our environments tends to be the newsfeed, but I'll show you quickly how you can also move to the simplified UI. We're then going to move on to look at typical things that a user could do to, if you like, make yourself even more efficient in moving through the UI, and that's through the use of personalization. And that personalization, or user personalization, normally comes into three areas: setting the user preferences, saving search, and modify the embedded Fusion tables. Top right hand side under your username, if you expand that, you'll see you'll have preferences. And if you go through the preferences, you can set up your region. So if you've got a particular way of, in terms of entering currency, date formats, languages, up to 30 data languages can be installed on database. And it's very easy if to switch from the languages in the UI for this session or reporting. You can come down to configuring the watch list you want to see. And in certain applications at the bottom, expenses in general ledger, you can set various in terms of preferences, such as default GL category, in terms of expenses, default expense accounts. Not all, but some of the work areas, Oracle always provides the most popular searches. But if you don't like those and you can think of a WYSI search, then you can create a new search criteria. Perhaps you're only interested, if you like, in the error transactions or the incomplete transactions. You can make a specific search and you can make that the default, or you can leave it so that you can run it on an ad hoc basis. Some of these you can put on the watch list, again, not all. If you see an embedded table, these tend to be in the work areas. So in the work areas, you're trying to see a whole range. So show me all the invoices entered today, show me all the journals entered today. And sometimes you can just be swamped by the amount of information. So that's why you might want to filter your table to a specific in terms of search. So here you can change columns, so you can hide and hide columns, you can adjust the widths, you can reorder, and it's very much a drop and drag. So the more you play with it, the more proficient you come, and each of these tables is unique to you, so it will save it. And provided you log out correctly rather than crash out, if you log out correctly, the next time you come in, if you set the new view as your default, that will be the default for your user. So let's go to the application and let me just walk you through some of those. And again, as a practice is to take you through all of this. But let me just briefly bring this to life. So I've already logged in and looking at here, I'm already directly on the newsfeed. The applications are shown, so in the global area, if I click the three lines, that's my navigator, and that pulls in terms of all my functional areas. And in the slide, we're looking at tools. So if I open up tools, typically I could run or schedule my tax reports to run. I could look at the reports and analytics to see the data model that's going to be used on that tax reporting ledger to extract the data used on my tax registers. I've got the home page and alerts in this UI, and if I use the drop down arrow by my name, we've got all the preferences. To move across the various tabs, I toggle, and if I scroll down, you'll find, and sometimes, particularly the first time you do this, it might take a while, it's refreshing here. So it's using the Oracle Transaction Business Intelligence here, pulling back the KPIs, giving me the snippet information, what I need to know. So there's defaults for, as you can see, general accounting, cash management, various reconciliations. There isn't a specific one for tax, but you could, in terms of write your own as a user-defined infolet. If I go back to the top, let's pick on billing, just as an example. So from my in terms of applications and the tag here. So double clicking in terms of billing work area, and you'll see here we've got the info tiles. So this tells me number of invoices incomplete, and it's split between the last 10 days and over 10 days. Any transactions requiring my approval, any adjustments requiring my research, and if I've imported transactions from a feeder system or directly from distributed order orchestration. Currently I've got 9 in terms of exceptions. So if I click on the 9, it shows me the source of the imported invoice and it shows me the amount of exceptions. On the right hand side, you'll see I've got my panel. So I've got my task panel, search for transaction, and I've got reports specifically for this particular business process. If I click on one of these task panels, then that shows me in terms of all of the tasks, if you like, end user tasks for this specific business process. And at any point, if I hit the top hat or home, that gets me back to my home position. So from my newsfeed page here, if I click on my environmental landing page, and this is unique to the OU environments, notice of my seeded themes on this right hand side, what I'm going to do is pick Vision, and then I'm going to re-log in the ERP supply chain application. And here you'll see it will bring up in terms of my simplified UI as opposed to the newsfeed. In this case, we've got the social networking shown as a banner across the top, and all of the applications in this case are shown as the various icons. And notice in the global page, as well as the full search facility, we now have favorites and alerts. And in this case, the first dot here is a springboard page. If you click on the second dot, then you'll see that takes you to in terms of cash management infolets. The third dot, obviously the dots will depend on your various job roles and on your configuration. In terms of this third dot here, pulls us into the general accounting infolets, and that will show me, for this user anyway, the state of my calendar in terms of reconciled entries, etc. Back to the home page, which means I have to click the simplified UI dot to get me back to the springboard. So the first of these dots gets you back to the home page, and I can either use the navigator at the top left, or in terms of, say I wanted to go to receivables, double click on the receivables icon. That shows me the work areas. In this case, my billing work area, my accounts receivable work area. And if I double click on the billing, that takes me to my work area. And in this case, demonstrates in terms of, again, infolets, the local area and the task panel on the right hand side. So this concludes this short topic on giving you an overview of the cloud UI.